Welcome to day 169 of our BitCloud journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian, and we have a special guest here today. You know him as Darian Parrish on BitCloud. That's also his handle. How's it going, Darian? He's the founder and creator of Top 50, CLOUT 50, and CLOUT Trends. And we're going to be talking to him about some of his projects in a little bit. We're going to first get to the news because there was some news yesterday. You know, this week's been pretty good for BitCloud. Brian, would you like to touch on some of the news?
Yeah, the CLOUT price is at $85 as we record this. It went up from about 58 or so yesterday, all the way up to 91 at one point. And this occurred, I think it was a combination of a few things. Number one, Diamond Hands put out a long post, kind of a roadmap, which we talked about yesterday in our show, of what's to come to BitCloud. And that seemed to spur on a lot of large buys. I think we saw close to $1 million in buys on BitCloud.com.
Wow.
And it actually made Gringot, the bot that gives out the BitCloud that's purchased on BitCloud.com, run out of CLOUT. And they had to replenish that. We saw that as Who Am I sent a bunch more to Gringot right after they ran out. And of course, Diamond Hands or whoever's behind repurchasing has to go to blockchain, put Bitcoin in, and buy more CLOUT. Now, normally, what we saw happen, I think, is that they would just put a limit order in at the highest bid. And that didn't do much to push the price up because it was just people would come to them to sell it. But since it was such a large order, and maybe they're now changing the way they do it because they realize that it's not really creating any price momentum, they put a limited order in, but also bought some at the ask. And they did it so that they wouldn't lose any money, but they did buy some at the ask.
Well, I don't know if it was they didn't lose any money, but they didn't lose as much as they would if they just used a market order for the whole buy.
Right. So it finally, it's really thin on the ask on blockchain. I mean, like right now, I think there's about 190 CLOUT from 85 to 100. So it's really thin. Somebody buys like I don't know, $16,000 worth of CLOUT, and it's going to be at $100 if you buy it at the ask. But if you put it in a limit order, then you can just wait for them to come to you, and maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. That's what happened.
So one of the accounts that vaulted, I think it was like $700,000 or $800,000 in CLOUT, was an account called, I believe it was T+0. Am I right?
T+1, I think. T+0, maybe T+0.
Do you know, Darren?
I can look it up really quickly. I commented and they actually replied to me and said, you know, if they needed help deploying it, they'd reach out.
Yeah, I think it's T+0. I'll check right now. But I mean, we don't know who this person is, but it's T+0, the letter T, and the word plus and the word zero. I mean, we don't know who this is, but they're kind of teasing that they're going to create a blog post talking about, I guess, what their plans are on the platform, but they have a lot of money in their wallet. So who knows what's going to happen with that?
Any thoughts, Darren?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's new and interesting, is someone bringing on big money and actually saying they'll be transparent. So we've had a lot of anonymous whales or anonymous accounts that might have a username, but not just a public key, but they still don't say anything about what their plans are. So I think this would be a welcome change, whether it happens or not, you know, who's to know. But I definitely think we need more of that on BitCloud. It's going to cause a lot fewer people to claim it's a scam. Transparency just helps, as we saw with the Diamond Hands post on the roadmap. So I'm hopeful that this blog post will come and we'll understand a little more about what new players with large capital are doing on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is great that we're seeing the price go up, especially right before all these new features are released. I think it gets people excited. Who knows, it might drop back down, but at least for now, I think there's a little bit more excitement in the air. And when there is excitement, you notice there's more engagement, and that's only a positive thing, I think. But other than that, there hasn't been too much other news. I know FlickApp, they are basically closing down their coin and selling it off. They gave everybody a warning first. I actually had to go in right before we were filming this, right when Darian came on here, and sell off the FlickApp coin. But it's not really for a bad reason. It's just that for them, from a business perspective and a securities aspect perspective, they find that in order to function, they'd rather deploy that capital in other ways. I respect that, and I respect that they have given people kind of a heads up. If you're not paying attention, you might get kind of rug pulled, but I guess you should be paying attention if you're going to be investing in these things.
Yeah, I
Any
think,
thoughts?
well, for me, you know, I think there's definitely a need to pay attention because I'm investing in a few projects into other projects, and we can talk about that in a moment. But I think it's really hard for everyone to keep up to date with all these projects that shut down or coins that, you know, get rug pulled. And that's why I think more people have been saying, you know, recently a better way to support people is actually to give them diamonds than to buy into their coin, because then, you know, you're going to give out smaller amounts, but it's going directly to the creator, and you don't have to worry about, you know, losing the rest of the portion that is in the coin X founder reward. So I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, if you're holding 400, 500 coins, how do you monitor that all when you have a full-time job and this isn't your normal gig? So that's actually the reason why I created a couple projects we'll talk about is so you can really park money in one place and not have to worry about it. There's tons of other projects that do this on the platform. You know, Alpha Mint for NFT has been one. There's Goat Investing, community investing. So I think those are all good, you know, options for people to think about, or even think, is holding creator coins, you know, right for them at all?
Yeah, and before we jump over to what you're doing, which I think is awesome, I just want to say FlickApp also announced that in about 2 weeks are coming out with some really cool features regarding NFTs, where it's going to make NFTs kind of a way for musicians and not just artists to kind of benefit and bring in revenue. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think that Nigel and Flick are really talented. I think that they have a good team behind them. I wish them the best, and let's see what happens. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because, you know, we need more apps. We need more ability on apps. There's really no app that allows you to deal with NFTs yet on BitCloud. So to see that coming to FlickApp, that's really exciting to me.
yeah, and let's get to you. So what are you working on, Darian? How are you making life easier for us BitClouders?
Yeah, well, thank you. So one thing to mention just on what you previously touched on, the clout price raising so much, is that I just put out a post this morning about how that impacts creator coin prices. So I'll summarize it here by just, it's you know, a direct relationship. It scales it. It's a scalar multiple. So if the clout price doubles, a creator coin price would double too if there's not a change in the coins in circulation. So check out the post. I go through the math. I'm sure some of your audience is wondering. So, but moving on to the projects, the top 50 and the Clout 50, or let's start at Clout Trends. That was my first project. The idea was, this was actually around the same time Bits Today launched. And so I thought, you know, maybe that would be Bits Today. And then really it was focused on the trends that were happening on the platform, essentially a newsletter. And then actually NVO or Nick from Bits Today, we talked a little bit about the early editions and me writing for Bits Today, and I just decided to keep the project separate. And so it's been going. We've done some video interviews recently, and the idea is really to focus on trends. That might be project trends, that might be user dynamic trends. So I'm really differentiating from Bits Today in that fashion. The team is just me, so it's not, you know, as consistent as Bits Today, but it's really, you know, about trying to educate and illuminate some of the stuff that's happening on Clout. So my other projects are finance based. I have a professional background in finance, ran a systematic hedge fund here in Seattle, and managed separate accounts for other fund managers as well. So this is kind of where my area of expertise is. And so I thought maybe bring a little bit of that to BitClout. So two of the projects I have are indexes that track the either top 50 projects on BitClout or top 50 creators on BitClout. And the benefit of this is you can invest in that single coin, and then you own a portion of all the top 50 creators or all the top 50 projects. And I think, you know, for the reason we talked about with FlickApp is, you know, you don't want to have to monitor all these projects. You know, you can leave that up to one, you know, account, one creator coin to track all that. and it's doing it in a more diversified way. So it's not going to be, detrimental as much as if you just own one or two projects. Same thing with creators. If you thought you might want to own a reserved account or something, but you're worried they'll never come on, well, if you bundle that with 50 other accounts, it's actually, not as big of a deal. Same principles of diversification.
Diversification, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was mentioning before, Krasenstein was actually in the CLOUT 50 index. You've sort of been in and out. Pamela Anderson was just got back in, but she was out for a little while. And it rebalances monthly, similar to an ETF or index fund that you might hold in your retirement account or brokerage. So every month it's going to have a different weighting and different constituents that move into the index. Now, what's interesting about these projects is all the founder reward goes to purchasing the underlying accounts to help it track. So you actually, in theory, don't lose that founder reward. It's part of the value in the index. So if the fund, no fund to mention here because it's not a security, but the index, if it liquidates, actually will return all that constituent wallet money back to the coin holders in the percentage ownership that they have. So anytime the wallet holdings is exceeding the locked in value, it's trading at a discount, and vice versa, it could trade at a premium in theory. But why this is really interesting is for long-term holders, you really benefit every time someone leaves in this coin. You actually keep their value, so it's really great for anyone who holds long-term, because essentially that founder reward's locked into the wallet.
And what's the name of that account again? So
there's CLOUT 50 and Top 50.
Okay.
So top 50 is for the top 50 projects. If you want to invest in things like CLOUT Feed, or in this case FlickApp, which has now been removed, but and all the top projects, even NFT projects, then you do top 50. And then if you want to be in the top creators, Diamond Hands, Greg, Reed, Jake, all those folks, and Krasenstein, hopefully again.
But we're not in there right now.
Yeah, you gotta wait till next month. Actually, you have to buy some Krasenstein coin first to push the price up, and then it'll be back in the index.
So it's based on the price. So the top 50 based on price.
It's actually based on market cap, but they're directly related. So the market cap is just what weights it a little different, but in theory, the ranking is the same for coin price. So as if you get back in the top 50 in terms of coin price, you'll be back in it. But again, it only rebalances at the month. So, it waits till the end of the month. We don't want to have, changes every day, because then that just makes the index very volatile. It's the same way with an index fund or ETF. They don't rebalance, daily. They actually don't always rebalance monthly. Sometimes it's quarterly. But I thought monthly, given that BitCloud moves kind of quickly, was the best option.
So you hear that? You got to buy our coin by September 30th. Now I'm just kidding. I'd rather you guys buy people like Darian, who are doing awesome work too.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's funny because Whale Shark sold off, I think it was like $20,000 of our coin. I don't know if that was probably toward the beginning of the month. And it's like, our coin price went down by several $100s. But since then, we've had so many new buys, and we're collecting that founder reward. So it's just an example of, like, people get discouraged when their coin price falls. But in reality, if you're going to be here long term and you're consistently posting and helping the community, I think a big sale like that's actually beneficial to the creator.
Yeah, I think
so. Go ahead, finish what you were saying.
I was just going to say that, like, I think you're right. And I think, I want to have avenues where people can trade. So like even these indexes are meant so people could trade it, but the founder reward's very high. So you don't really want to trade it at this point. Once it moves up the bonding curve, the founder reward will come down a little bit. And I think the sort of the friction to investing in projects like this is people don't really understand what it's doing. They're hard to understand. And especially with the founder reward mechanics is you really just have to ask. I think some projects have sort of taken advantage of people where they have really high founder reward, and then they sort of sell down their coin, and then they're using it, to sort of give away money or something. And people think they're getting something back where they're really just putting money in and it's going out. So I think you really just have to talk to, you have to be willing to put in the time to talk to the project donors, understand what's going on. And it's going to take some time. Obviously, in the long run, projects that can streamline, and articulate the value proposition really cleanly and simply will win. And I think that will happen, as again, like these projects I'm working on, as they move along the bonding curve, and we can bring the founder reward down to a level where people understand, then that will help. And then also, one of the things I've tried to do is not do things like pre-sale. I think that's kind of hurt a lot of projects, is where they pre-sell a lot of coin and then no one else can get in. So I've tried to avoid that with my projects. And again, just working on articulating a little bit more about the mechanisms and the way things work. I've also been a big advocate for even coin holder benefits for personal accounts as well. Why do people on BitCloud hold creator coins? They hope that they'll either go up in value or they'll get some benefit. They can attend someone's show. If you hold Tropics, you maybe go to one of his shows. And maybe you hold Clay Perry Music, you go to one of his shows. I went to the Audio Node event in San Diego by holding Audio Node. There's some sort of tangible benefit. But if there's not any of that, it's really just pure speculation. And I think hopefully we get a lot of more people articulating their coin holder benefits.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that like we had this discussion earlier, and the whole coin, like the whole idea of buying somebody's coin, I think that sometimes giving them diamonds is better, like you said. And I think though, as the platform kind of grows and develops, and we do get hundreds of thousands of people here rather than 3,000 daily actives, I think that maybe the coin price will have more of a function. And I think there's definitely going to be new ideas that spring up and new nodes that pop up maybe around coin price. So I think like right now, I think if you want to help somebody, it might be better giving them diamond. It might be better buying their coin too, but I think it really depends on the project and the person.
Yeah, and I think if people would even, sort of mention what their goals were, if someone's trying to grow their coin price, they probably need to do it with a little bit lower founder reward, and that incentivize coin price purchases. And then maybe, they mention that they're trying to hit some goal or something for, whatever reason that might be. Or they're trying to just get diamonds. They want to be a top diamonded creator, and they think that has more value. I think communication is always key. So I think that'll help the ecosystem.
Yeah, I totally agree. So is there anything you'd like to say before we close out day 169?
No. Oh, I appreciate you having me on. I think what you do for the platform is great. Just trying to communicate everything that's going on, keeping up to date. It's, you provide a service similar to Bits Today, or there's been a couple others that really try and just help people who are busy know what's going on. I think we need that more, just like I mentioned, more clarity on BitClout, better communication, even if that's, not from the core team, but it's from people who are scouring the various sources and understanding that. So appreciate what you do. I appreciate you having me here, and hope to keep talking soon.
Yeah, and check out Top 50 and CLOUT 50.
CLOUT Trends.
Yep, CLOUT Trends.
I'll tag them all in the post under this video. So, or I guess
and check out my profile. There's actually a couple more ones, CLOUT stocks, that just kind of got started up, trying to build community around stock investors. We have a Discord as well. I think the more we get communities other than just NFTs and artists and stuff on BitClout, the more, newcomers will feel welcome, and they feel like they find their people and their topics.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks again, Darren. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and maybe we'll have you again sometime in the near future.
Thank you very much.